Agud Boisai. Nishmas Imi Mirosirus Mordechai. Welcome to all the guests. Shalom Aleichem. Agud Voch. I'll leave this fun for tomorrow, maybe. It's a long one, and we got to get going. It's Motzei Shabbos. Mishpachat Levi. He just wants to know how to get the shir on the email. Okay, and now we have the tablet, so we can do it through that. On July 17th, 2023, you communicated with me that people always try to catch up, but they almost never do. You actually said, I wouldn't make it. By that point, I finished brachas and was up to Shabbos, Mem Daled. Okay, I don't recall saying such a thing. It's not my style, but maybe for him. Played a little reverse ecology with him. Well, I didn't give up, and on Shavuos, I finally finished Masechta Shabbos. Mazel Tov. My schedule is typically do the scheduled daf in the morning and catch up the daf at night. That didn't always work out, but I persevered. Thanks for the non-encouragement. I always do better with a challenge than with a pat on the back. Be well, Yaakov Lak. Valdik. Huh? B3 bikes. So, no need to read out in shir, please. Shalom Reb Eli. Hope all is well. I'm writing to ask if there's anything, and don't show this one on the screen. I'm writing to ask if there's anything MDY needs help with, as I really would like to donate time to help. This is a person that made hundreds of phone calls for the charity campaign. So here he is asking if he could donate time, even clerical, daunting work, LOL. Please let me know if there's anything. Wishing you again, much hatzlacha. Just amazing to see how much MDY has come. It's a whole new level, Baruch Hashem, and the least I can do to thank is donate my time. Looking forward to hearing back soon. Your Talmud, v'chulu. Rabbi Yisai, today's shir is sponsored. Masechta is anonymous for the safe and speedy return of all the hostages. Terrible news coming out of Eretz Yisrael. 8 chayalim were killed. One from Bet Shemesh. Yeah. Rabbi Shalom should have rachmanas on us. Some Mashiach quickly. Paras HaChodesh is renewed. Leah Nishmas Zechrya ben Moshe. Leah Nishmas Chaya bas Yosef. Thank you. Paras HaChodesh, Refuah Shelaima, Neftali, Herz ben Leah, a hidden tzadik in our generation. Paras HaShavua, Refuah Shelaima, Mardechai ben Adelman should have a complete Refuah Shelaima. Paras HaYom, Zechus for all Jews suffering from mental health challenges. Thank you, I appreciate it. I hope it wasn't referring only to me. You're the one that put it. I was thinking other people. There's other people as well, says Rosh Koilel. He's moided that I'm one of them, but there's other people. I really appreciate it. Thank you. So, Rabbi Yisai, I have a question for the Olam. We're going to learn about Hilchas Bar Metzia. Bar Metzia means that if there's a field and you're right next to the field, you're neighbor to that person, you're the Bar Metzia, you're the neighbor, and you have certain rights. You get right of first refusal. So here's the Shaila. And the question is if anybody could come up with a good Geshmaka answer. The question is, what if there are four neighbors, and each one of the neighbors, there's a field in the center, and there's four neighbors all around, and each one wants to buy the field. They're all Bar Metzras. They all want to. You learned it already? They all want to. If you learned it, it's not a chacham. I'm saying if you didn't learn it, think about this for a second. You all want to buy this field. You all go and go to him and say, "I want the field." So how do you divide it? Do you just give it to one? What do? You auction. Okay, that's a good one. Highest bidder. They don't want it. They all got together, union. They're not going to pay a dime more than $1,000. Now what?
Split it.
Split? Who says split it? How? How do you split it?
They're on four directions.
Yeah.
So you give them like a triangle so that fits into their thing. No?
A triangle. That's not bad. Okay, if you didn't learn the sugi before, it's very good. Here, you can look at Rashi. You can look in the turn Daf Kuf Ches on Beis all the way in the bottom. There's a nice picture. I think Yoshi did a better job. We'll have to get there to see it. Oh, here you go. Not the first time you're mechav to the Gemara. So, Rabbi said we have a good maisa here with a sad ending. We're holding 5 lines from the bottom of Kuf Zayin Amud Beis. Rabbi Bar Avuna Havaliyahu Ibo Aguda Denahara. He had a forest, bunch of trees that went all the way up to the shore of the river. Omrlei Nikutzmar. So they went to him and they said, listen, you got to cut the stuff down. We need it like this, let's say. The people that pull the boats, they need room on the shore. So if you have trees going all the way up to the water, do us a favor. Shalom Aleichem. Anishma. Come on in. Thank you for coming. All the way from Yerushalayim. Beautiful. So, we need room. Cut down the trees. Omer Lahu. Omer Le Nekutzmar. Omer Lahu. So he told them, Kutsu Iloi Vitatoi Vahadar Ikutzana. I'm using this picture for later, but if you look in this picture, there's red lines over there. Red. Here, let's go over here. See the red? So let's say that's Rabbi Bar Avhuna's real estate right there. So he says, look, there's guys above me, not in this picture, but the guys below me. On the other side of the red line, below the red line, they have trees. Talk to them first. What are you coming to me? Why would you come to me first? I'm in the middle. If they knock down their trees, I'll knock down my trees. Heichi Ovid Hachi asked the Gemara. How does he talk like that? Voksiv is koishishu v'koishu. V'amer shlakish kshoit atzmucha v'achakach kshoit acherim. First, look at yourself. Try to fix yourself before you give other people moser. Like my story with Reuven Sheit. I verified. Menachem Atek came to me afterwards and said, yeah, Reuven Sheit was in fact in shul till all the way till Shachars. I was looking around shul at the 8:30 minyan after Shavuos. I'm looking around and what's this guy doing here? What's this guy? 8:30 it's Shavuos morning. He's supposed to be up the whole night. First, judge yourself. Fix yourself. Till he gave, the only guy I went over to tell him that I had tinus on everybody was Reuven Sheit. He says, listen, I learned the whole night. I want to daven b'kavana. Yeah. So Gemara says, what is he pointing fingers at other people? You cut down your trees. Well, they'll worry about themselves. What are you talking about them for? The forest above and below was owned by people that were connected to the government. If they remove their trees, I'll do the same. I know that they're never going to remove their trees. What's the point of me knocking down my trees? If they're able to walk over there, great. With the ropes, great. In other words, a guy that's pulling a ship with a rope and he bumps into the trees above him, he's not going to walk on that side of the side. He's going to go to the other side of the street, or he's not going to pull ropes. What good is it if he cuts out 100 feet of trees on the whole riverbank when they can't even pull ships? Well, they're going to get in their ship, come all the way to his property, jump off the ship and pull it for 100 feet. Doesn't make any sense. If they could pull it the entire length of the river, great. But being that these people above and below, they're all people that are connected to the government, they're not going to cut their trees. There's no reason for me to cut the trees. The Gemara continues. In this picture, he's in the boat. He notices there's a big forest all the way up to the river. Omar Ludeman, who owns those trees? Omar Le, the Rabbi Bar Avuna. That's Rabbi Bar Avuna's trees. He's not cutting them. Omar. So he's upset at him. He says, V'yada Sorim V'azgonim, the hand of the Sar, the Zgan, top people. They're the first to sin. These guys, these number one people, like Rabbi Bar Avuna, he's a gadol, he's already sinning. He's the first one to sin. Omar Lu, he tells his people, kutsu. He says one word, kutsu. Chop down his trees. Kaitsu. So they went ahead and they chopped down the trees. Also Rabbi Bar Avuna, he shows up In the evening, he comes back from learning Torah. Ashkech the kais. Wait, what just happened? Somebody knocked down my trees. Omer man kaitza. Whoever chopped down these trees, tikut zanfei. His branches should be chopped down as well. A curse to the person who chopped down the trees. Amri.
Is that his children?
Yeah. Kulu shnei de Rav Ravuna. I see you learned to sugya well. Kulu shnei de Rav Ravuna lo yikaim le zaro le Rav Rav Nachman. In other words, he said, I'll chop down the branches. Chop down the branches, meaning he shouldn't have children. So all the years that Rav Ravuna was around, Rav Rav Nachman, the one who instructed to chop down the trees, loyal, because he chopped down a few trees, he didn't have children. From over here, you saw it. I didn't see it anywhere in this sugya, but there's a few rights in Shas that when a gadol gives a bracha, that bracha lasts as long as he lives. The same thing applies to a curse in this sugya. There's a certain koyach that a gadol has over his words, but that usually lasts. There's a few times in Shas you see that it doesn't. After the person is nifter, that's it. Here's one of them. It's Matzah Shabbos. You could say a story. There was a person who was married for, I think, 18 years, and he didn't have children. He just came back from the States for treatment, and it didn't work. He was very depressed, and he started doing a cheshbon nefesh. And he remembered that when he was in yeshiva, there was a woman who cleaned the yeshiva, and she would bring her children with her. So the children, they were running around, bothering the boys, going to the dorm, the whole thing. So he went over and he said, maybe you should leave your children at home. She didn't like it. She said, you shouldn't have problems with chinuch. What she meant is that you shouldn't have children. So he thought maybe she was really upset at him. So he went and he knocked on her door really late at night. He woke her up, kind of. He said, listen, I just came back, the whole story. And she said, yeah, I am upset at you. It's disgusting what you did to me. I'm take my children to work. You think it's easy? And he came over to me. He gave me a hard time. Michael. And the rest of the story, I'm going to put in my book 9 months later, whatever. It was a year later. This one was a year later. But, yeah, talking about people that are having children, curses, got to be careful. Words. Amri kulish neder Rabbi Nachman. Omer Rabbi Yehuda. Hakol ligali gapa. Everybody in the city has to pitch in to put a wall up against the enemy, to make the doors, they can go in and out. Everybody. Vafilu miyasmi, even orphans, they have to pitch in. Rabbi said this is controversial. Here we go. But a Talmud Chacham doesn't have to pitch in. My timer, Rabbanon leitzrichen etirusa. A Talmud Chacham doesn't need the physical watching. He has a Kodesh Baruch Hu. There was a disgusting cartoon that went out there of Shabbos. I'm not even going to... Whatever. It's in Yana Diyayma. We have the whole situation with the yeshiva boys. They have to go to the army. They don't have to go to the army. They protect as much as the chaylim. If you're dati lomi, you're very upset the bacher. If you're bacher, you're upset the... Not going to get into it. We don't get into these things in the shir. And I have my own little mahalach. But the Gemara says over here that a Talmud Chacham doesn't need nitirusa, doesn't need you to watch him. He doesn't pitch in physically. He doesn't pitch in. He doesn't pay for the wall. Everybody else pays for the wall. He doesn't pay for the wall. What exactly Talmud Chacham is, how much does he learn, how much coffee does he drink during the day, that's a different child. I will say this story. The Chofetz Chaim made a meeting, famous Maisa. He had a meeting with the Gvirim of the city. There was a big problem with the hospital. They want to put together more beds. And they're going through all the Gvirim in the room. The Chofetz Chaim gave a speech. And he said, okay, this person took upon himself 10 beds. This person said he'll donate 15 beds. And there was a knock on the door. And there's a yeshiva guy at the door. So the Chofetz Chaim excused himself and went to speak to the yeshiva guy. So one of the Gvirim didn't like it. Like, oh, we're sitting in a room full of Gvirim, elder and this young guy comes in. So the Chofetz Chaim overheard the guy saying to his friend, I wonder how many beds this yeshiva boy is donating. Chofetz Chaim turned around and he looked at the guy and he said, because of that yeshiva guy, we don't need 50 beds. He's protecting from achlas. So somebody that learns Torah, learns Lishma, he brings a certain shmira. Zog the Gemara. L'karya the pasya. But to dig for a well, afilu Rabbanan. Even Rabbanan have to pitch in. They need a drink. That's only if the people are not going out by themselves to dig. Aval loy. But if they go out to dig the well themselves, no, the Rabbanan labnei mepak b'chloizaninu. We call it in Yiddish spasnisht. Spasnisht. I'm gonna dig a well. I'm a chashavarov. I have a frak. The whole thing. I'm not digging wells. Okay. There's a saying in Hebrew. Okay. Saying he's not mechuyev to. I don't know if it's for the mochel. I'm not going into that. If Shimshon goes, he goes. Certain people that like you don't have to return an aveda. Certain halachas. There's an interesting thing that happened to us. I gave the shir on Friday in Hebrew. So I said that they used to make a honorable parnasa. Today, certain things are not honorable, and that's why they don't have parnasa. In other words, there's a lot of people. So somebody came over to me. He says he doesn't have parnasa, this, that. So I said I have a great idea. I said I know that here in Ramat Shemesh, people are struggling to find help, cleaning help. I said you're very geschikt. You can make 70 shekel an hour. It's more than double that you're making today. I said I know a few guys that learned in Kail, they clean houses. I know it's embarrassing, but you're looking for parnasa. You want parnasa? Here, I have a great idea. Not only that, within a few days, weeks, people are gonna love your work. You're harder working than all the other people that we have over here. You're gonna have to hire somebody. You'll hire somebody. Eventually, you'll just get out of the business. You'll be on top. You'll have people working for you. I gave him a whole plan. He said, no. I'm not cleaning houses. So I was like, maybe he's right. But okay, if you're struggling for mom is struggling. I'm not suggesting you came to me. You asked me for I'm giving you an eitzah. How to double your salary and also build a business. So I said in the shir that there's a guy. There's many people I've seen in New York. They drive buses, school buses, yellow buses, no problem, especially by the Hasidim. They don't have an issue. There's other people, more by the Litvish. I'm not going to drive a school bus. So I need to make $1 million the first year I go into business, the whole thing, everybody thinks they're going to make. So as I'm saying this, Dave Sharfman, who does the Hebrew shir every night, thank you very much, Dave, he's here, sitting here. Within a second, he puts this guy on that's watching live on Zoom in Lakewood. What's his name again? Eli Tu? He's been with us for a while. He's watching the Hebrew shir live on Friday, driving a bus. It's beautiful. And you see the whole bus behind him. He has this thing like this. It's gewaldig. Mamish. There's a kiss from Hashem. I have a kiss from Hashem that happened to me today. I'm not going to tell you until tomorrow. I'm going to tell it's part of tomorrow's shir. The Hebrew guys are going to hear it tonight. Unbelievable kiss of Hashem. Fine. Huh? What? Oh, the bus driver live on the screen. Yeah. He's not on now. Zog the Gemara, Amar Rav Yehuda. L'karyo de Naharo, Tatoi. Yeah, I need. What do we have here? Do we have like a stick or something back here? We used to. Okay. Anything here. Dave Sharfman made this so we can use this. Here we go. L'karya de Naharo, tatoi misayei loi. So it goes like this. Let's say this is the river. The river is flowing from here to there. That's too small. From here to there. Oh, sure. There's one here. Gishma. Okay. Thank you, Dave. It's black. The river flows from top to bottom. Now, if the water flows. If there's a problem over here on top, who does it affect? Everybody. So this guy that's all the way down here, he has to walk his way up and help out to clear the blockage. A lot of times there's stones and wood that flows down the river. It eventually blocks. So everybody has to block. Let me ask you something. What if this is not a river? What if this is a sewer pipe? I don't know what. It's the drainage. The water, the rainwater comes down this pipe. And there's a block right over here. Who does it affect? It affects, if the block is over here, who does it affect? Only the guy on top. The guys in the bottom couldn't care less if the rainwater doesn't come down. They don't want the rainwater going down. It doesn't help them. They're not using it for the fields. It's just a sewer pipe. So if there's a blockage on top, the only person that has to work there is the guy on top. But if the blockage is on the bottom, everybody has to come down and help the guy on the bottom. You hear? So if it's water that they're using for the fields, irrigation water, so everybody has to go to the top and help unplug. But if it's drain water that we're not using, so everybody has to come to the bottom and help. Because if the bottom is clogged, it's just going to back up and hurt everybody. Okay. So says the Gemara, Shkoyach. We have shoehorns here for the Kohanim. So if you're in America, you don't know why we have shoehorns. Not every shul has it, but it's a great idea to have. Kohanim, after Burgers Kohanim, they have to put the shoes on, and then if they need to put their finger in there, it becomes problematic. What do you say, Rabbi Schoenberg? I see you're about to pounce. You don't have to wash your hands if you're a Kohen? You slip them on, but some people have shoelaces. Some shoes you can't slip on. I have slip-on shoes and they don't slip on. Depends how interesting your feet are. Okay, listen, you have a lot of experience. For the younger Kehanim that don't know what they're doing, come duchen by us because we need you, right? Reb David, without you, sometimes we don't have. Huh? You touch wood, it's, you go like this 6 times. It's not like Chatchila. Omer Rav Yehuda. L'kari din naharo. So if you have, what do you say? If you have a blockage in the river, the guys on the bottom must come to the top to help out. But the guys on the top don't have to help the bottom. And the exact reverse happens, that everybody has to help on the bottom, but they don't have to help on the top. So I said, I decided to say this over, so I'll say it to you also, even though it has nothing to do with the sugya. Huh? Rainwater. What did I say? Sewer water? Give me a hard time today. You're in a good mood. The shkoil is in a good mood. A good shlof? You had a good shlof? But I didn't, so thank you. Just say this because it's possible that one guy out there will have this situation, or maybe somebody will take this idea. I was probably in my early 30s, maybe, working on this property, a family property. It's 1,500 units, 750 units. It's a large property. And I was in charge of, the construction that we were doing. We were renovating all the apartments. Kitzer, one day there was a big clog in one of the drainage pipes. So he called in a company, and he puts down a camera, and he shows us that the pipe just dislodged, and they're not connected. They're completely off. When we're talking about a pipe this size, you're talking about, 20-something inches, whatever, massive pipe. So we need to fix it. So we bring a bunch of guys in. They want $25,000, $30,000 to fix it. Why? Because it's 15, 20 feet in the ground. I don't know how deep. I don't remember the things anymore. Very, very deep into the ground. But the actual fix is not so. To get there. Kitzer, I couldn't believe it. I bring another company. Everybody, the same thing. $25,000, $30,000. I said, forget it. I'm doing it myself. It's a true story. I go to the rental place and say, I want to rent. So past you should have seen me then in those days. I said in another share, I dug these ditches myself. Anyway, so I went to the rental place and they rent tractors. I rented a tractor, one of those tractors that goes like this in the back. and then you have to also rent a truck because to bring it. So I had a truck. You know what I'm talking about because you have a 4x4. I had to rent the truck. I don't know what it should cost. Let's say it cost $1,000. I don't even think it cost $1,000. Drove the truck. I didn't know how to get the tractor off. It was so much fun making all these mistakes. Finally, I get it, and then I try to play with that hand thing, but I swung it too fast and it hit a pole, snapped the pole in half. Okay, that was a little bit of that, but then I started digging. I got to, because the guy marked it where it is. I got to the bottom, dug it out beautifully. The whole thing jumped in there with the shovel, did the last foot, whatever. Got a company to come in. They made the fix for $500. Took a piece of plastic, threw the dirt in. I saved $20-something thousand. It's givaldic. So if anybody ever needs to fix a pipe, I'm available.
Yes, it's possible.
Huh?
Yes, it's possible.
For $20,000, it passed, everything passed. Anyways, look at the Gemara.
Why did the city take care of it?
No, it's private property. It's a private property. It's 750 apartments in your own. You're responsible for everything, for the streets. You put down tar, everything. This is the same exact. By the way, how is this negea to us? How do we, people that live in this neighborhood could relate to this? Especially me. I live on a top floor in a building. Who's responsible for the elevator? The elevator goes from bottom to top. So a lot of times you say, well, I live in the first floor, I never use the elevator. That's what some people say, but the law is that everybody pays equal. I actually feel bad for them because I definitely use it more than everybody. Because even if you use it the same amount, I use it one more floor. Besides, you have more people, less people. Okay, fine. But it's interesting. Like who has to be mishtatev? It's something similar. Who has to be mishtatev when you have something that starts on the top and goes to the bottom? That's what we're talking about over here. Same exact thing that we had a second ago. The 5 gardens. Oh, I have to show you this. This is beautiful. I guess this is in, this just shows the water. But you'll see, this is Vietnam. It's really, really beautiful. So you have different tzaddiks over here. And, they had to come up with a system to get water to everybody. Different fields, different things. So if there's a clog, who has to be? So here you see, the guy over the bottom, he has to climb to the top and fix it. Beautiful stuff. And there was a blockage. Everybody has to fix with the upper one. So it comes out that the bottom one has to fix with everyone, but the last one has to fix for itself. This is the rainwater. And they got stuffed. So then it's the reverse. Everybody has to fix it if the blockage on the bottom. Imagine the water backing up all the way to the top. So over here, the guy all the way up always has to help everybody, but the guy on the bottom only has to help when it's by him. It has to do it when it's by him. Omar Shmuel.
How big more sharing the money that it costs for that?
Anything. What's the difference? Same thing. Did we read that in the Gemara before? Yeah. The Gemara says that he pitches in with money, but doesn't pitch in with the physical work. But there's no difference. So we go back to our picture. If the guy, so what happened was that the Persians, they took over and they said all real estate, all land is hefker. And if anybody wants to grab land, could grab land, provided that he pays the government. All they care about is money. So this guy went ahead and decided to catch the land that's between the 2 red lines. It's a sidewalk. It's a place where people need it for the boats. Call it, what do they call it? The boardwalk, whatever you want to call it. He went. The Persian said it's allowed. Go ahead. Do whatever you want. Here we even have a picture. Givaldica stuff. Something similar to this. Reb Eli said, here we go. In America, around the world, there's a big homeless problem. Here we go.
Well, this is where a gentleman named Q lives. I spoke to him. He's quite happy to be here, but says he's planning to move soon. So this is the situation in 2022 in Los Angeles. You can basically build your own small wooden house right on Hollywood Boulevard, live in it, continue to refuse offers of city services, and most people around here are okay with it. Others say it has to go. It's a solid, well-built wooden structure. Propped up by metal carts and car
something he stole from Home Depot.
Power cord unplugged,
those things are not
trails
cheap.
down
Like
the
a
sidewalk, which is piled high with assorted power tools.
That he stole.
Hey, we're on live. Thanks for talking with us. What are you doing here, and how did this come to?
Well,
okay, I think I heard enough. You get the idea. He built the house on a public sidewalk. So if the guy does this, he builds a house on this private. It's beachfront property that everybody's jogging back and forth. This is what people do. But you know what? He has permission from the government. Chatzifa, he's a mechutzef. But you can't get rid of him. But now that the Persians write in the document, you could take it all the way into the water, all the way. What happened there? All the way into the water. Up to the neck of a horse, that's too much. So what's pshat? If you look at this picture over here, you have a house here owned by somebody, and he has the right he has the two red lines over there. Okay, that's his property. This right? He was a nice guy, and he said, you know what? I'm not going to be a chazer. I'm not going to go all the way to the water. I'm going to leave 10 feet so people can walk by my property. Comes another guy, Mr. Mechutzef, and buys that property off the Persians. That's not fair. It's his. He also bought it off the Persians. Just he decided to give it back to society. That's why he could kick him out of there. Next to you, Omer Rav Yudom Rav, Hay man da'achzik, beini achei ubeini shutvei, chatziva avei. So now we're getting to the sugi of Bar Metzia. There's three shittas over here. This shitta says there is no such thing as Bar Metzia. In other words, if you have two brothers, they have property that's on two sides, and there's a middle property in between two brothers. If you buy it, you're mechutzef, but I can't kick you out of there. If there's two partners, you buy it, you're mechutzef. So look at them, we don't throw you out of there. Rav Nachman Omar, and Rav says no, namim salkinon. If it's between two shutvim, two brothers, then we throw you out of there. But there is no concept of Bar Metzia. Now we're familiar with this one. There is a concept of Bar Metzia, meaning this is the right of first refusal, you live there, you're the neighbor on the right, I throw you out of there. So first of all, here's a concept in Shas, Bar Metzia. I am a neighbor. And then we have the yisoy that we had a few times, even in this Masechta, I forgot the pasuk, so I want to remember for myself. There's a concept saying that you should go, yes, the halacha is over here. The halacha says you can buy it, you have to go above and beyond the halacha. Use your seichel, use your common sense, use logic. It's better for this guy to have two fields next to each other. Why? Because then he does one pass with the plow. So why are you taking it from him? You want him to buy another 25 acres down the block? Now he's going to take his tractor, put it on a trailer, rent a truck, go down. It doesn't work like that. It's much easier for him. You go find something. Be a mensch. The pasuk says, be a mensch. Now what happens? You go, you are a mensch. You knock on the guy's door. You say, hey, I know that you're a neighbor. I'm thinking about buying this field. Can I buy it? The guy says, it happens to be I don't have any money now. I really want it, but I'm not interested. I can't buy it now. Go ahead, take it. Says the Gemara, do I need him to sign something? I need him to make a kinyan, sudr, something. He said, go ahead, take it. So what if he said? Listen to this. Unbelievable. Sometimes, and it happens to a lot of us, sometimes you know that the guy's going to take a higher price from you. Why? Because your father lives in the building, or you have an apartment next door, you want to buy the apartment next door. So what is the guy going to do? He's going to jack up the price. So what do you, Chacham, do? You went to yeshiva, you know what you do? You send your friend to buy it. You tell your friend to wear something ripped, torn, and the guy who knocks on the door, hey, I heard your partner should say, how much you want? So the guy tells him the real price. Once you know that information, now you go to your neighbor and say, hey, I want to buy your apartment, we're neighbors, and the guy can't do anything about it. If he tries to get you the higher price, he says, no, you told Pliny $500,000 less, what are you doing? Fine. Maybe that's what the guy's doing over here, says the Gemara. Let me go buy it. You could buy it, no problem. I let you buy it. Does he have to make a kinyan now? You don't have to make a kinyan. You have to make a kinyan. Why? Because if you don't make a kinyan, the guy is going to say, the reason why I told you that you could go buy it, because I want to find out the true price from somebody that's not negeh b'davar, somebody that's not biased. But if I would go directly to the guy, he's gonna rip me off. He knows I want that field. The halacha is like an ardoya, that you have to make a kinyan, and if not, this is very, very important. If you didn't make a kinyan and you went ahead and you bought it, too bad on you. You have to give it to the guy. That's the neighbor. That's how powerful this vasisa atoiv ayashar is. You have to sell it to him. Now, what happens? Very interesting things could happen here. What happens if the price went up? There's a profit here. You bought it illegally because you're not the neighbor, you're not the shachan. You are an outsider. You got permission, the guy lied to you, you bought it. Now, it's unbelievable. You have to make kinyanim, that's what it says here. So it doesn't really apply to us so much, according to Taisus, because this halach is more in fields, not so much in apartments, in houses. But, here's the question. The guy went ahead, bought it for $1 million. What happened here in Bet Shemesh, that in a year time, prices doubled, or 50% more. Now the neighbor comes and says, I want the property. How much does the guy sell to him? With the profit or without the profit? Says the Gemara, the profit goes to the neighbor. Why? Because the guy that wasn't the neighbor that bought it, he's acting as an agent, as a shliach. The neighbor gets all the benefit if it goes up in value, and if it goes down in value, he also has to suffer the. In other words, and he bought it for 100, and today it's worth 200, doubled in price. Chazino, we see. If that was the price for everybody, all he has to give him is 100, and he gets out of there. But if the price was only for this non-neighbor guy, maybe the guy liked him a lot and gave him a special price, and you have to give him what everybody else pays. What if he overpaid? The Gemara has a havamin. If he overpaid, he should suffer the loss because he's not the bar metzia. You're my shliach, and I sent you to do good for me, not bad. Why did you double the price? There's no overcharging when it comes to karka. Beautiful chart we have over here. Check this out. The blue is Ruvain's field. The red are the neighbors all the way around. Comes an outsider, wants to buy the blue field, but he can't. Why can't he? Because there's 4 neighbors all the way around. There's a bar metzia. You know what he does? Check this out. He buys a tiny sliver of land in the center of the blue. Now, they're not neighbors to that sliver of property. And now, once he has it, he says, I'm the bar metzia. Give me the entire blue. Says the Gemara, if that sliver that he bought is a very, very valuable piece of property, so maybe that's why he sold it to him. It was legit. If it's a terrible property, maybe it's legit. But if it's just the same amount, the same type of property as everything else, then obviously what he did here was shtick, and we don't like shtick. Daf Kuf Ches Amud Beis Viloi Rubi Komarim, and he must give it up and give it to the people that are the bar metzia. Kuf Ches Amud Beis, sponsored by Kidnovations LLC. Zechus of Akiva Simcha Ben Fayga, and for Refuah Shelaima for hadassah, Lana Devorah bas hadassah, something like that. Yeah. And bigger cup consulting, Yishkoyach. Oh, who? You send it to me again. Yeah, the sponsor for you that I wasn't going to say it every day. That you change the things every day. Okay, I said it already once. Says the Gemara, Matana les ba mishum dino de bar metzra. If somebody gives you a gift, a piece of land, the neighbors can't kick you out of there because what's the whole point? Go find another piece of land somewhere else. Why are you taking the land? I'm not going to find another gift somewhere else. So the Taisus Rosh asks what happened before in the sugya before when he got a great deal from the neighbor. He has to give it up. We look to see if everybody else paid the same thing, but I got a great deal. I bought this property for half the price. Why should I lose that? Isn't that a gift? So Taisus Rosh says, "Loi plug." We don't go into every deal. Once we say that you have to give up the property, give up the property. Interesting that there's a medrash that says that the Malachim, they complain to Hashem that He should give them the Torah. Why? Because they're bar metzras. They're closer to the Torah up there in Shemayim. So Hakadosh Baruch Hu said, "Okay, I'm going to give it to Klal Yisrael as a gift. As a gift, there's no bar metzras." Zok the Gemara Meimar. If this is a regular piece of real estate that's a guarantee to a loan, then you know that there's a lie going on over here. That he basically got paid under the table and he told everybody it's a gift, but it's not a gift because a gift doesn't come with achrayus. In other words, if there's a loan somewhere, you have to give up the property. You don't have to. If it's a gift, it's a gift. If it comes with achrayus, that means it was sold. Now we're going to go into a few halachas. When don't you say bar metzra? If somebody bought off the entire estate and it included a field, there's no bar metzra on that. Why? Because this could cause a lot of damage to the seller. I bought everything, the cars, the furniture, the fields. Now you're going to start taking away one field, so I won't buy anything. So it's going to cause a loss to the seller. When it causes a loss to somebody, you don't see vasisa tevei yasher. Don't be a tzadik on somebody else's cheshbon. Vasisa tevei yasher means do the right thing. If it's good, be a mensch to him, because he could go buy something else. Be a mensch to the farmer next door, because this guy could buy it somewhere else. But if it's going to hurt the seller, you don't say vasisa tevei. It's not vasisa tevei. If you sold it to the original owner, that's also okay. Why? He was the first guy there, it's sentimental to him, He has the right of first refusal. What if you bought something from a guy? Or you sold one to a guy? No bar metzra with a guy. Why? I got rid of a terrible avodah zarah, a guy that worships avodah zarah. I took him away from you. What are you upset at me? Now, what is he going to say? I could have done the same thing. Well, I had an opportunity. I was speaking to him and I convinced him. It was if I would have gone to you, look for you, it would have been all over. So I did you a favor. You sell it to a guy. The whole point is that the buyer, so we have to emphasize this, Rabbi Yosef. Who has to do vasisa toiva yosher? When I started the sugya, I thought everybody has to be a mensch. No. Vasisa toiva yosher is only the buyer. He has to be a mensch. Buy somewhere else. The seller, he doesn't have vasisa toiva yosher. Because it doesn't make a difference to him. It's this guy, that guy. Nothing changes by him. So Mamela, when we're talking about the buyer, and the buyer is the non-Jew, he's not mechuyev v'asisa yosher v'atayv. But you have to put this guy in cherim until he accepts upon himself that because he sold it to this guy, this character, and that guy might cause trouble later on down the line, then he has to accept upon himself all damages. Says the Gemara, Mashkanta lesbo mishum dino bar metzra. Let's say I lent somebody $1 million, and he says, in lieu of $1 million, I know you don't trust me, that I'll pay you back. First, take my apartment building right now until I pay you back. So that apartment building, forget apartment building. Take this field, okay? Take this field, giant field, 500 acres. Take it as collateral. So since he has this field as collateral for a long time, so he's a bar metzra. He's like a neighbor. He lives there. So he could buy it off the borrower. They told me, my mashkanta, we had this already. Why is it called mashkanta, collateral? The shchuna gabe, you live there. That since he is in possession of this collateral for a long time or whatever it is, so he's considered a neighbor. Let's say the seller wants to sell this and get something that is closer. Okay, yeah, so an opportunity came up. In other words, he has to make a quick sale. Bira v'ligal v'yafa. He has a not such a great property. He could come up now with something really good. So I got to tell you it's a sad story to me. I don't know who the players are. They might even be in this room. I'm not joking. Story that happened right here in this neighborhood, right behind the MDY. There's a guy that lives right next to Yosef Billyack. He had the machla in his leg, and unfortunately they had to amputate his leg. So he said, okay, I need to sell my apartment and get a new apartment. An apartment that doesn't have an elevator, because in his building, the elevator didn't go to his floor, whatever, to halfway. Shabbos, probably he's in a wheelchair. So he didn't have enough money. So the guy went and he sold his apartment, knowing that he has another apartment available, he's going to buy the apartment. Unfortunately, after he sold it, he was nifter. And by the time that the family got themselves together in Shiva and Shleishim, they realized that the price that they sold it for was in the beginning of Corona, and then it was already, prices went up 50%. The guy that bought it, as far as I understood, I don't know who he is, Baruch Hashem, I don't want to know. He is part of MDY. So they came to me, they said, could you convince this guy to give the apartment back to the almana? And I felt really bad. I really feel bad for the almana, but I feel bad for this guy. What are you even telling him? He made all this money. Why should he sell it? He should sell it and what is he going to buy instead? The prices went up. And it's a terrible story. I remember there, Bira, Biyafa, Barachaik, Bekarov. I need to do a quick sale. He sold it quick. He had the money. And he got stuck. Nishtahi. At the end of the story, what happened was, I don't know the whole story. I still don't know the whole story. I do know that she still lives in the apartment. The guy did some deal. They raised a lot of money for her. The community, the Kubash tzadik, which is considered the best Kubash tzadik in the world, maybe, especially in Israel. And they got the money together, and she lives there, and they made some sort of deal. It's a long-term lease that she doesn't have to leave for a long time. That's what I understood. Who the guy is, and I think he's a big tzadik. I feel bad for this guy. Mamish feel bad for this guy. Zog the Gemara. I don't know what, you put a guy in a hard place. What is he supposed to do? You put this, give him a bad conscience. The almana, it's true, the almana, but, okay. Zog the Gemara. Lesba mishum dina de bar metzra. Since he had to make a quick sale, so he sold to whoever came first. So now the guys, the neighbors are going to complain. Too bad. If it's to pay taxes and to give mezaitis to the wife, children, to the daughters, and to bury somebody, lesba mishum dina de bar metzra. You sell as quick as you can. You don't have to announce it. You typically have to make a whole announcement for the Yisrael. No, you need food today. You're not going to wait. You got to pay the taxes. If you don't pay the taxes, they're going to be upset at you and it causes trouble. If you sold to a woman or to Yisayim, you can't. It's too late. To a woman, she's not going to go look for another property somewhere else. She found something here. You sell it to her. Now we're jumping away from bar mitzvah for a minute. Says Rashi, we have to take a quick pause. If you have the ability to sell it to somebody in your neighborhood, doesn't mean you're next door neighbor. You could sell it, you know this guy, he lives in your neighborhood, you daven in the same shul, but you could also sell it to the guy that's, the farmers, they know him. So what do? The guy that you know from shul comes first. If it's between your neighbor and a Talmud Chacham, who comes first? Talmud Chacham kaidem. Your relative and Talmud Chacham, who comes first? Talmud Chacham kaidem. What about if you put the two ones that lose? The Shachim v'Karev Mai. Tashma toiv Shachim Karev Me'ach Rachoik. It's better to have a good neighbor. It's better a good neighbor than a lost brother. Real quickly, Reb Tzim Feldman, Chashav Yid from Bnei Brak. It's just because this stuff happens here in Eretz Yisrael all the time. He finally got permits to build in his building, in his apartment. So the Kabbalan shows up and they're about to build. A neighbor comes running out from the building across and says, it bothers me that you're building. Bothers me. He says, why? Well, I don't have to explain. It bothers me. So Reb Feldman said, okay, we're not doing the construction. That's it. Finished. And he stopped construction. I thought it was a beautiful midas. And midas on the other guy's part. I'm saying if that's the case, then nobody can build there. It's impossible. There's always somebody that's complaining, always somebody that's going to call the thing. Why? People have tzara sign. They can't forgive. People cannot forgive. I see you're shaking your head because I know you're doing construction now. Somebody complained? So why are you shaking your head? Yes. You've heard of it. So Baruch Hashem, nobody complained to you. What if the one guy comes up with money, dollars? You could use it anywhere around the world. And this is harder, heavy money. I'm not mechuyev to take your inferior money. I'll sell to the guy that has the good cash. What if one came with a bag of money, and the bag of money is sealed from the bank, you can't get into it, and these are open. I'm worried to open up your bag of cash, because once I open it, you're going to start telling me, oh, you took some, you this, there's more in there. You know what? Take your bag. I'm taking the open cash. Omar. Could you wait here 2 minutes? I'm going to work really hard, and I'm going to come up with cash. No, you don't have to wait for him. Omar, but if he says, I have the cash, I just have to go get it, if he's a wealthy person, whatever, it's known that he has money, that you can wait for him. You have a piece of land, somebody leased it out to somebody to build a house. Now, is there a bar metzia on the house? In other words, I own the land, you want to sell the house to somebody else. What are you doing? It's my land. Let me buy the house. It's on my land. So the guy that owns the land, he could tell the other guy, sell me the house. But the guy that has the house doesn't have a bar metzia, halach of bar metzia on the land. Why? Because it's a short-term lease, and 10 years from now I'll be out of there. So he's not a real bar metzia. What if the land is one and the palm trees are another's? The owner of the land, the palm trees is just wood. So he owns the land. He can say, listen, I want the wood. But the guy that owns the wood, he has no connection to the land. Some random guy comes, he says, I want your field, I want to build a house on it. And another guy says, the neighbor says, I want to plant. Rabbi said, does anybody remember the order of, you remember, what's the order? I didn't even ask the question, but you want to say the answer? Tree, house, wheat. Very good. Tree, house, wheat. In terms of Yishuv Eretz Yisrael, tree comes first, house comes second, wheat comes third. So let's see if this fits into the Gemara. One guy says, I want to build a house. The other guy says, I want to build wheat. Yishuv Adif. It's better to build a house. So that's where the Rush got it from. We had it just a few days ago, wherever it was, Kuf Aleph Amud Beis. Over there it says that a tree is more important than Yishuv, all the way on top of Kuf Aleph Amud Beis. So the Rush asks, what about this Gemara over here? It says that a house is more important than planting. So this is where he came up with it, that there's a tree. That's the most important. That lasts for a long time. House comes before wheat, that you see in our Gemara right over here. So it must be tree, house, wheat. Aro, we said this. What if there's a break in the properties? My neighbor is not really a neighbor. There's a big formation of stone in between us. There's a bunch of trees. If, here, check this out, beautiful. Here you have a bunch of trees. If the plow could go through the trees, then you could consider it one field. But if the plow cannot make it through because it's lined with trees, then you're not a bar metzia. Sorry, I can sell to whoever I want. Says the Gemara, here we have the picture. You have a field, and there's 4 bar metrias, and one of the guy on the right bought the field. So now it's open. So he's okay. He grabbed it. Shalom Yisrael. But vikulu also about the adadi. But if all 4 of them came and said, "We want to buy it," what do? You do it on a diagonal. I have a great picture here from Yoshi. First of all, this the molding on the corner in Israel is called a karniz because it's on an angle. Karnizel. Check this thing out. Beautiful. The guy, everybody wants to buy the middle field. What do? But check out the coloring here. It's beautiful. It's color coordinated. The blue gets the blue, the orange gets the orange. Rabboisai, have a good week, a good Voch, a great evening. Tomorrow morning, Be'ezer Hashem at 7:10. Akiva Simcha Ben Fayga.